I always feel like dancing when this is on, you know what I mean?
You just get your groove on real quick.
Hey, hey, hey. What? Antoine, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good today. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. How are you? Feel like
good.
you're doing all right over there.
I am. It's not a horrible day. It's been
not
so many.
You in my language right now. It's not a horrible day.
You rubbed off on me. Instead of it's a great day, it's not a horrible one, right?
It's not a bad day. Yeah,
that's it. That's right. But I think it's just there's just been this up and down sort of as far as the weather.
True.
And me, like to be able to sit outside at times, it like changes my whole thing. So I feel like there was a seat like last week you could sit outside for a little bit.
That's true.
And then this week it's like you can.
I know,
but
in the morning, the morning is feeling okay.
Yeah, the morning's been good. It's been a good opportunity to kind of just sit and read. But I also have been, unfortunately, I've been up late. I've been working late. I've been trying to get ahead on some things as far as school and other stuff, right? And so getting up early is different. I stay up late now instead of where I used to get up early. I stay up late.
There you go.
So I gotta get into a new pattern. I gotta break it up.
Again,
it's all right. It's all right. We in here though today.
We are in here
for the North Texas Giving Day live, threaded live North Texas Giving Day. You know what? I'm glad we're in here. I'm glad we're doing sort of the lunch bunch version. People can check it out. Obviously, you can be in here today, right now, or it's it'll play throughout the day. People can watch it and kind of engage later as they have time. But I don't know about you. North Texas Giving Day is as wonderful as it is. It's hard. It's hard. So many emails this morning.
Yeah, everybody's getting all the things. Well, wait a minute. Emails about
giving from
all kinds
of
from all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, we're a nonprofit. We like money as well as other people do, so that the mission can go forward
to do stuff with.
Exactly. I mean,
nobody's.
Nobody, it's not.
Nobody's getting extra bread here. I just finished reading Exodus 16, where he's manna, and God is like, "Hey, just take what you need." And so nobody's getting any more.
No more, exactly.
More than what we need. I'll tell you that. That's
2 fish and 5 loaves, as we've always said, which has got another message. We may get into that later, but so everybody's, even when I was in the gym this morning, I think mentioned like, "Hey, Marcos, what are you doing today?" It's like, "Oh, it's North Texas Giving." They're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I've gotten so many emails." And so I wonder if people aren't even like opening the emails. I think they're just like seeing.
I know.
Have they already got in their mind either I know who I'm giving to, threaded, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got others who are like, "I'm not giving to nobody today." You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna push against the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't like.
Right. So in some ways we're coming out here. We're like, look, we know North Texas Giving Day is if anybody has ever watched and engaged with Threaded and engaged with us, I'm just going to use terminology, right?
Yeah.
North Texas Giving Day can be a beatdown. There's just lots. Again, there's just lots coming at you for everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's just it can be, which is I think why even us this year, we want obviously to participate in North Texas Giving Day. We're doing this live. We putting things out there. But I think we're trying to do things a little differently this year as far as what maybe North Texas Giving Day does for us to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, you always want to set, like, we're like everyone else. We have a goal that we want to set. And here's the real deal. Everybody knows this is about nonprofits. The thing about nonprofit life is everyone loves what nonprofits do, but they're always a little skeptical about how they do it, and raising money is really difficult because sometimes when you sit down with people, they either want to hear a business proposition, which is a business proposition, right? Which is a for-profit way of talking about doing things.
Sure.
but they also don't really like the idea that nonprofits charge for things, which is not what's supposed to happen for nonprofits, because you're supposed to raise funds so that other people who are benefiting from it don't have to pay for it. So there's this conundrum where it comes to money with nonprofits, and we find ourselves in all these conversations that move us from one side of the conversation. In some conversations, they want a whole business. You're treating it like a startup, and they want to know that what they've given their money to has a plan and all that, which it should have.
Yes.
And you're trying to sell the plan more than you're selling the work, right? In those conversations. And then in this other one, it's like, man, we have this great work that we need to do. So we need days like North Texas Giving Day to say, hey, this is a day where we're just going to unabashedly give to nonprofits without all of that other craziness that's going to go on throughout the rest of the year. So I love days like this, but also, yeah, it could be, I feel like it's getting increasingly more difficult to depend on days like this for strong giving.
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to prove me wrong today.
I would love to be proved wrong in that. I'd love for people
wrong today.
Yes, absolutely. And what I love is, people always do show out for us on North Texas Giving Day.
True.
And I think what we're trying this year, we've got this interesting thing going on, right? North Texas Giving Day is happening. It always happens right now. But we're doing something new for us as an organization,
right?
In that we're doing our very first fundraiser, like our very first actual fundraiser, coming up October 7th. Now that's really close. That's just coming up in a couple of weeks. So it's always hard to be like, hey, give on North Texas Giving Day, and then for the fundraiser, right? So I think for us right now, like we want people, and particularly our donors, to be like, look, we're just talking about a give, if you will, in this season for us. We've got obviously the fundraiser, those who are local, who are in Dallas, man, we want you to come to the fundraiser. It's a taste of unity, transforming the tapestry, our very first fundraiser, talking about and engaging. If you want to know more about Threaded, meet some of the OGs, if you will, of Threaded.
The OGs.
Get the good stories, understand, get entertained, have some good raffle prizes and things we can talk about later. That's what's coming up. And so that's coming up October 7th. And you can check that out if you're interested in coming and being part of that by going to wearethreaded.org. And actually, it's right there on the front page. So you can check that out, or you can go to our events page. It's there too, but that'll take you in and you can come and be a part of that. It's fairly inexpensive to be a part of, but we raising money, trying to raise some money. We got things coming up.
Real quick, like I think for some people, like you're like, man, what can I do on the day? I can't give a whole bunch of money. Like it might be just purchasing a ticket to the fundraiser event. Like that might be what you can do, because it's a celebration, yes, it is a fundraising, but we really haven't had an opportunity to tell the full story of what Threaded has been and is doing from the beginning up until now. And the fundraiser provides the Taste of Unity event provides an opportunity to hear those stories, in a really, really, really fun and interesting way. And then to be like, hey, here's where we're going to go tomorrow, and and how the story is going to continue and where you fit into all of that. So if you're in the camp of sick of North Texas Giving Day, like Threaded, then I say, man, take a look at the Taste of Unity event and really consider, purchasing a ticket there, showing up, and then doing your thing.
Yeah. And I love how you said that. Like, it's not just about like, here's what Threaded is, right? But we've been at this. 2014 is when kind of the first meeting of the two founders, if you will, happened. Myself and John Stanley grew into this network group, if you will. 2016 and the Dallas police shootings, and then 2019 became an official nonprofit. There's the mission of the organization has been relationships, reconciliation, collaborative action amongst the diverse body of Christ. And what I love over this past year is watching the continual growth of the organization, the evolution of the organization inside each one of those components, if you will. And that's what I think is exciting when people do these kind of like yearly fundraisers or yearly events, is kind of each time you're hearing like, hey, here's what happened last year. And here's where we're going now, right? And if anybody was connected to Threaded in 2014 and hadn't heard anything about Threaded, hadn't engaged, got away from Threaded, and now you're grabbing us in 2023, you're like, oh my gosh, like how'd you get from like
from
pastors meeting at a diner once a month to all of this stuff that's out there, right? Like there's just so much that's going on that is just expanding our credibility, expanding our tools, expanding our opportunity to transform and make a difference in each one of those categories of relationships, reconciliation, and collaborative action. And so I'm excited about that. It's been fun to be a part and kind of I'm scratching my head, literally scratching my head right now, but you scratch your head and you're like, how did I get here? How did we as an organization get here? And I say literally me, how did I get here? I was working in a full-time job in a church, and now here I am being asked to run this fun organization and living. That's good. And part of it is, can we talk, like sophisticated talk about donations, Antoine? Is that okay with you?
Yeah. I don't know how you don't have to bring all the sophistication.
Not too much, but just
a simple man.
The organizations, they take money to run.
It turns out that's part of the math
to get things done. Yes. And I'll say it even this way. Turns out.
Wait, you mean? Yeah. you mean like we have to pay for stuff too?
Yeah, you got to pay for stuff. Yeah. And here's what I love about like a day like North Texas Giving Day is you're just constantly being hit with all of these organizations, and I would say most of them, ours included, are desiring to see almost seismic change in our communities in some of the most difficult, marginalized areas, right? Some of the most difficult problems our society is dealing with in our communities. These nonprofits are created to engage that, right? Whether it be a nonprofit that's dealing with a hurricane comes through, right? A nonprofit that's dealing with homelessness or food insecurity. Or you got a nonprofit like us who's dealing with the racial, the racial division in our country and the ways in which that's manifesting itself through acts of hate and violence. Now, these are horrible things for our community to have to experience. And the people who actually go after those are nonprofits. These nonprofits need money to handle some of the biggest things that our community is engaging with. And I think you mentioned it earlier, like for whatever reason, I think people struggle with saying, hey, why do nonprofits need money to do this? But they're handling the biggest problems in our community, right? So it would make sense that, it's not, I have no problem. I don't have any problem going to Whataburger. I'm being very local right now. Texas, because I could have said McDonald's. Whataburger got everybody in with McDonald's. It's like people got In-N-Out in Cali. It used to be in Cali, now it's here too. You got your White Castle up in certain parts.
I was thinking White Castle. I wasn't sure if you were going to say it though. Where does White Castle even originate? I don't even know.
I don't know, because I live in Texas and we only care about Whataburger here. So, but Whataburger is not solving. They're not solving any of the major problems in our country. In fact, they're probably contributing more to them, at least to my problem of obesity and cholesterol.
The they're contributing. Milkshake is not particularly helpful to your health.
Look, Chick-fil-A is contributing to my milkshake problem. That's the one. They've got a much better milkshake.
And it is lunchtime. Somebody's thinking Whataburger right now.
Exactly. And I'm not mad at them, because I have given Whataburger a lot of money. But they're not solving any major problems. They're not solving major problems. They're solving my problem at very specific times.
Yeah.
But you got these nonprofits out here that are in North Texas Giving Day that they're literally solving some of the major problems in our society, dealing with some of the most hurt people, the people who are most marginalized, the people who are forgotten, who have a voice, but their voice has not been given opportunity to speak. And these folks need money just like Whataburger does to run. And again, nobody questions what Whataburger is doing with their money when they go there. They just get the burger and move on. But these nonprofits, and I'm not speaking just for this is an advertisement for you to give to some. This is a North Texas Giving Day general like
conversation.
Support whatever you do today, like support a nonprofit.
I guess what you're saying is that it matters, and everyone knows this. So this is a reminder. And this isn't about shame. This is just a reminder to you that while most of us are engaging in work that ultimately takes care of our families, there are these entities that are meant to really serve the community in great ways and serve people who can't afford or can't always engage in the services they need. And those nonprofit organizations also need to be able to do it. And so it matters. It is important that you consider today whatever you can to contribute to these organizations, because I know so many. I know you know too, Marcus.
Yeah, for sure.
I know so many organizations who I really, really love the heart, and most of these executive directors, man, they're taking chances. They're taking a chance to jump out here with they've jumped out of a plane with no parachute. Well, maybe sometimes no.
They've got the material for a parachute. It's just not sewn together yet.
No, yeah, that's right. That's a great picture. You're sewing the parachute together while falling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah. But they're doing it because they believe so deeply in what they're doing, and they're putting their family at risk. And there's a lot of risk involved in calling. And I just want you to know, like these are your support goes a very, very long way. There's not a ton of distrust in a lot of nonprofits. It's just difficult to meet the needs in front of you. So today's a great day for participating in all that, and we have beat that horse.
Yes, the horse
is beaten, but do it, consider it, even though I know it's a holiday, but do it. It's a holiday for nonprofits, but do it anyway, and consider it in your day today.
Yeah, and as you consider that, consider Threaded to be one of those places that you can give to. And Antoine, we got kind of a fun thing going on right now. Obviously, we've got the fundraiser that's coming up, but we're also doing a really interesting matching donation as well. We have a great donor who is just desirous of the growth of Threaded, wanting to see it grow, but not just by giving of their money. They wanted to say, hey, let's create a matching scenario that matches not just donations, Antoine, but monthly donations, right? So many times in a matching, it's like, hey, give $100, get $100. The match is $100, and this is not that one. This one is become a monthly donor, right? So we have in our giving site, in our giving area, if you will, we've got this new campaign that we're calling Double Stitch Donation. The Double Stitch Donation basically means is if you become a monthly donor for the next year of Threaded, then whatever you give, we will match that with the matching donation. So if you give $5, then we'll double it. So it's actually $10, right? If you give $10, then it'll get double 20. If you give $100, it's actually double. It's $200 until we reach the limit of $10,000. So the idea is that we want to get more folks who are giving monthly to us, so that they can participate in this work regularly. And another sophisticated thing from a donor standpoint is, or from a organizational standpoint, is nonprofits are trying to plan, ways in which they can continue to do the work that they're doing. And so knowing that there is this financial support that's coming throughout the year that's sort of quote unquote guaranteed, it allows you to make better plans. All right. You're like, okay, we know we're going to have this money, so let's plan to do this in March, because we know that we've got these monthly givers that give us this continuation. So anyway, Double Stitch Donation, it's a great way to make your money go further, if you will. So it's something to consider.
And that's also at wearethreaded.org, where you can set all that up, right?
Yeah, wearethreaded.org/give. And we've got our giving deals and giving buttons there. So if you push the giving button, it'll come up and there's a little drop down that says donations. And so you drop that down and it's got the, and it's got double stitch donation in there. And this is donation. And this is again, it's not for those who already are donors, right? These are new donors. So this is, if you've never given before to Threaded as a monthly donor, maybe you've given just as a donor, right? But a monthly donor where you like,
so it's monthly donors, right?
New monthly donors. Like,
yeah.
Look, let me just give this very clear. It's new monthly donors. Yeah, absolutely. As I go around it a little bit, pinpoint new monthly donors.
Yeah.
Your donation gets doubled in the double
and again,
donation.
like most people have heard all that, right? But like you said, the biggest thing about monthly donorship is it gives us a budget for the year, like you said, and it lets us make plans, doable, achievable plans, right? It's not dreams, but we can actually make plans that we believe can be achieved, right? So we know, okay, we've got this much for the year. We are trusting that we have this much for the year based on these pledges, monthly pledges. Now let's build our plans around that budget, which is the way all of us do our lives. So without that, then you're kind of guessing, and it's a little bit harder. So yes, that's why monthly donorship is such a grand idea.
It is. And especially, again, if you can, double it.
If you can double it, then why not? Right? Yeah, for the next $10,000. So that's great. Love it. Whoever's part of that, whoever our donor is.
I don't know if you're like me.
Hello.
There's a hey, I know that guy.
You do? I didn't put it up, dude. Should I throw it in here and let people?
I mean, if you want to give them a little video,
we can wait a little bit. We'll throw it. We can. I mean, we are in the double stitch donation. If you are through our Facebook page and whatnot, we created a little commercial for it. I wonder if I can. Does it? I don't know.
I heard it.
So I heard it as well. I just
guys, we haven't tested the technical. So we go on this journey with us as we play this video. No.
Yes, and give it a shot. We'll see if it's if it rolls up or not. I think it might not come in here. That's all right though.
No, I think it's ready. You think it won't?
I just don't know if it pops in. That's the place. You know what I mean? These are new. This new technology that we're working from, but it's you never know. So I can hear it. Can you? Yeah,
everybody,
you hear that right there. Oh, there it is. Well, anyway, we'll keep working on it. Antoine, so you've been in the threaded sphere for a pretty long time. Is there a, like, you personally, because again, we've been talking about North Texas Giving. There's lots of ways to give, and lots of people in places to give. What is it almost personally for you? Like, how does threaded work for you personally? Like, why donate and why become a giver from your own story, your own experience?
Yeah, well, you give to anything. All right. So for me, threaded matters because the church, so much of what we're doing is about helping the church be a greater witness in dark times, right? For me, using my own language here. And so what are the dark times? What are part of the dark times? Well, part of the dark times is this devaluing of each other, or everyone's sort of fighting for their own place, their own space, their own sense of worth and value in society. And that has realized itself in really divisive ways, especially in racial conversations, where the racial conversation is a zero-sum game that says my value somehow is increased by devaluing you, because somehow, in order for me to feel worthwhile or superior, or valuable, I need to do that comparatively to you. And And so if I want to feel this way, then I've got to fight for that. And I think people, I don't know that everyone understands that. Let me say it another way. I think that that our natural sinful selves are that way, whether we recognize it or not. And there's scales, some people really live into that, and other people it's more subtle. The reason I am so interested in what Threaded is doing is because it is bringing forward the kingdom idea, the kingdom of God idea, that says that your value is not dependent or contingent or comparative to anyone else, but it is a part of this grand narrative, this grand tapestry that God has initiated from the beginning of time to say all of humanity and all of its diversity and difference matters to this wonderful goal of unity and love and shalom that he has implemented. And we get to be a part of that. We are ambassadors of that as Christians to start that now. And that is different than what the world is saying. The world says I have to compete with you. The gospel says that we need each other and that my worth and my value isn't dependent upon you and your value, but Christ has already declared that he's shed his blood for all people, that worth and value were made in the image of God. That value conversation is settled. And so the only thing left is for us to express and realize the love of God. So all of that is the mission of what the church is and what it means to be a Christian. Threaded is taking that mission and saying, what does that look like for churches and individuals, not only what does it look like for the witness of the church to show the world this beautiful picture of love and shalom, right? How do we begin to do that? But also, how does the effects of that love and shalom bleed into our communities in such a way that it transforms the community and attacks and begins to speak to and challenge and change, especially in an American context where we have such an opportunity to change society like that? How do we do that? How do we begin to expand the essence, the ethic, and the impact of the kingdom of God in our space? So those are the reasons. It's really about the mission of God, the mission of the church, and how to expand the kingdom. And it just happens to be in the racial category. So anyway, that's a lot of words.
Yeah, but you said the essence, the ethic, and the impact of the kingdom. That's so preacher of you right now. Like you.
Oh, there it is. Well, you put EEI. So
I know, but it was just it sounded right though. It sounded right. It made me question whether impact started with an E or with an I.
That's what it is. The impact.
No, I think it's really good. I love that you said that in there. We call these things these social eruptions. You know what I mean? That happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what you're talking about is we're always kind of on the edge of this social eruption. It's kind of like you're on the edge of a volcano and it's an active volcano. And so you're constantly like, okay, this is going to explode, but you're not quite sure what the explosion is going to be. Is it going to be one that takes, out the walls of the city, or is it one that takes out the city altogether? And I think that's where we are right now in our place in America. And I think the church, if I can be so bold, we're scared. We're kind of sitting scared, maybe even in waiting, hoping that we don't have to deal with some of the things that seem to be almost inevitable that are coming. And so in some ways, what we want to do is we want to get ahead of those things, and that eruption is shore up the things that we need to be shored up in, so that the church is able to really not just grow, but thrive and become a relevant entity for the betterment of America, particularly in these areas of great divide, whether they be racial or whether they be ethnic, denominational, political. Like the church has an opportunity to display a unity that comes really from the heart of God. Like God in and of himself as an entity in the midst of a Christian religion is a 3-in-1 God that works in the most perfect unity with Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So you're talking about a spiritual being that's able to work well in unity, and then obviously then be the producer of these human beings which are made in his image. We should be able to function in very unified ways, but obviously our sin gets in the way, our own pride gets in the way, and the church should be a place where we come to grips with that
Uh-oh. I don't know if we lost Marcus or not. We'll see if he comes back. Maybe I'm the only one, but I don't have Marcus at the moment. Let me look real quick and see. I'm gonna check my area here and see if he's frozen. Well, it sounded like he was getting into it. It's hard to fill in what he was going to say because he's kind of given his language and his words, on it. I'm going to remove him and then he'll come back. So but so the why behind where he was headed is the beautiful tapestry, the essence of what it means to be a Christian as we begin to face these social eruptions, these racial social eruptions that are probably inevitable. And that's the picture real quick. We're saying social eruptions. I'm going to explain that the picture is if you're on a fault line or if you live in a city that's on a fault line, then you know that eventually the volcano is going to erupt. And it would be foolish to not prepare yourselves for that eruption. And in a way, in our American context, we have these racialized volcanoes. In fact, America is probably a fault line for racialized volcanoes. And I think we've seen that over our history, that eventually there's going to be another eruption in some way. And if this is the challenge that we have as a church in America for what it means to be the church, to especially to be the church in our context, then this sort of these racialized eruptions become part of our responsibility, especially as ambassadors of love, ambassadors of community and mutual worth. And so it's important that we think about it, that we bring our context, bring the gospel to this context. A picture sometimes I think about what Paul would write to America, right? I feel like the racial stuff would be a part of it. Paul writes to the Corinthians about unity, about a lot of things. He writes about sex there because they're in a sex crazed kind of context. He doesn't write to Ephesians particularly about sexual things, or he doesn't write to some of the other cities about those things because their context is not inundated with that. Their culture that they're up against isn't inundated with that kind of thing. So the Corinthians have a very specific challenge where it comes to sexuality, and so Paul writes to that. And some of the other cities have very specific challenges that Paul writes to. In America, the American context, one of the very specific challenges that we have here is dealing with our racial past and our racial present as we become a place that is increasingly immigrated and international as far as our organization, as far as our population goes. And the question for the believer is, what does it mean to bring the gospel to that context? What does it mean to bring the gospel to that history and to that present, even to the future? What does it mean to bring the kingdom of God and the ethic of the kingdom of God to racialized problems, especially those that are going to show up and blow up at any given moment? So Threaded is about that. Now, those are not the ways I'm not doing any of the things that we would normally say, right? These are things that we're kind of putting in our own personal terms. But Threaded is ultimately an organization that serves our churches and individuals, but is starting to serve church organizations, to say, how do we help you prepare yourselves for the social eruptions, the social racial eruptions that are going to show up in your church, that are going to show up in our neighborhoods, in our society, in our nation? How do we prepare ourselves best to represent Christ amidst those eruptions in such a way that pulls people together when all of the energy is actually tearing people apart? How do we engraft and hold each other together to form this beautiful tapestry that God has started? as the church, so that others can see it and glorify God in heaven. That's kind of what Jesus says. So that is what Threaded is. If you have any questions about that, then we are all down to hear it. We are all down to hear it. So if you're still here, it's North Texas Giving Day. It is an opportunity for you to support nonprofits like Threaded. If you haven't, then there's a couple ways that you can support Threaded. Number one, you can set up a monthly donation. It's a monthly donation. We have a double stitch offer that's going to double your donation, especially if you are joining in as a monthly giver. And you can set up that monthly giving at wearethreaded.org/give. wearethreaded.org/give. You can go and set that up. And for every new monthly donor, we have a benefactor who is doubling the monthly donation up to the point of $10,000. So if you would like to set up a monthly donation, maybe for the next 12 months, and would like to have that donation doubled, now is the time to do that. A second way that you can support Threaded is to give a one-time donation. We do have a goal. Our goal today is $20,000, and so to reach that goal, individuals can participate in giving one-time donations. We really prefer the monthly. Monthly allows us to budget and plan and do all the things for the next year. But if that's not something you can do, then a one-time donation is a wonderful way to help the ministry as well, or help the organization as well. And then a third way is we really have a fundraising celebration event that's called Taste of Unity, especially if you're here in Dallas, on October the 7th. It's going to be in Carrollton at Bentry Bible Fellowship. And there we're going to share so much of the stories, our first ever fundraiser event. We're going to share so much of the story about what Threaded is and what God has been using Threaded for the last 6 years or so. I don't know. Is it 6 years? I think it's 6 years. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about it being 6 years. But for the last 6 years or so, and it's a fundraising dinner, and so you'll have an opportunity to give there. But purchasing your ticket is part of helping raise their funds. Now, don't purchase a ticket if you don't show up. Right? Don't just purchase a ticket for the sake of purchasing a ticket. If you want to give that way, just give a one-time donation. But we would love to meet all the people who are resonating with our mission and story and what God is doing. And if you're in Dallas, to be able to come and meet us and us meet you at this Taste of Unity event, where we'll celebrate what God has done and invite people into what he's going to do next. So that is what those are the three ways you do it. All of those things are available to you at wearethreaded.org. You can set up your monthly giving. You can set up your one-time gift. You can even purchase the registration or the ticket at the Taste of Unity event as well. Man, Marcus is in the thick of it where he is. And so, but we've been on here for a little while. So I think I'm going to go ahead and close up. Thank you for all of you who have checked out and been a part of the conversation with us for the last several years. Thank you for doing that. We love all of our Threaded family, and we're looking to see it grow. So give today, plan to show up on the fundraiser event. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. We look forward to seeing all the things God is going to do with us. Talk to you later.